Welcome to your 91.9 postgame wrap. I'm Mike Pereira, joined alongside Eddie Greer. Cats win it 27-21 in a pretty hostile game here in Ames, Iowa. It took 2 stops on 4th down for the Kansas State defense to finally give the Cats a final victory. And Eddie, just what are your initial thoughts on the victory here in Ames?
This was not a pretty win for Kansas State here today. They knew they were in for a battle. It's Farmageddon with a good opponent as Iowa State was today. They did not play Snyder football, I felt like, today, with penalties, costly turnovers, but when they needed stops, when they needed most, K-State's defense was the story of this game today.
Kansas State had 9 penalties going into the game. They had 9 today, and it really, at times, the penalties killed Kansas State. Right behind us, there was a pass interference call on 3rd down and goal that was called against the Wildcats that gave Iowa State a chance to run it in from 2 yards out and get back to within 3. Kansas State went into the 4th quarter with a 10-point victory, and Iowa State got it to within 3 at a time before Kansas State took 8 minutes off with a very big, long touchdown drive, a field goal that got out of that drive and gave Iowa State the ball back. With the ball at their 40-yard line, they had a chance to take the lead and march down the field only down 6, but the Wildcat defense did a great job of not even surrendering a 1st down.
Not only one chances Iowa State had, they had not one but 2 chances to win this game, drive all the way down the field and score, but Iowa State, Jared Barnett could not get the job done. Jared Barnett in this game missed wide open opportunities in this football game. Iowa State had a chance, and they weren't playing that bad either, so the Cyclones had opportunities to win this football game. They couldn't get the job done.
Talk about Jared Barnett, only completed 16 of his about 38 passes. He did not have a good day. Over and over, he didn't get hit that often. Kansas State did not record a sack, but there were multiple times he threw it at the feet of his receivers, including Sean Terrell Johnson, and other times he had Horn wide open at about the 15-yard line back on their 2nd drive, threw it at his feet, and he just really did not have that good of a game. Threw 2 touchdown passes, one of those a short dink off to Johnson for the touchdown, take the initial lead, and then the longer one to Ernst Brun, most of that courtesy of Brun. But you go back to the big play in this game, although Iowa State ended up getting a touchdown in that series of events anyways. An interception by Ty Zimmerman on Jared Barnett right after Kansas State turns the ball back over.
Yeah, we talked about like Snyder-like football. Tremaine Thompson went to fair catch a punt back in the 1st half, could not secure the football, turning it over deep in their own territory. Iowa State gets it, and then Jared Barnett throws it into triple coverage. It's picked up by Ty Zimmerman. Zimmerman now has an interception in 3 consecutive football games. So K-State's defense stepping up at the right time, but Jared Barnett missed opportunities that could have won Iowa State the football game.
They held Iowa State to less than 250 yards of total offense. They didn't get into triple digits in terms of rushing yards, only had about 80. They also did that against Oklahoma. So in Kansas State on the road, they've been very good at shutting down that offense. And then you look at Colin Klein in the Honey Badger. He had just about 105 yards to go along with 3 touchdowns, and a pretty big day for Kansas State. Going back to what they do best, that's Colin Klein running the football.
Colin Klein running the football, bread and butter. Colin Klein could not be stopped on critical situations, especially on 3rd down this afternoon, where he threw the ball a couple times. Late in the 1st half, he threw a big pass to Tyler Lockett that set up a touchdown down here late in the 1st half, and then again did it a couple more times in the 2nd half when K-State needed to play. Colin Klein not only did it with his running legs today, he did it with his arm today, which is really impressive.
Colin Klein finished the day with about 187 passing yards, which again, not necessarily the big plays. He didn't have the 45-yard pass to Tyler Lockett, but kind of short, methodically, dinking and dunking their way down the field. Came up at big times. Big completions from not only Chris Harper on 3rd down, Tyler Lockett on 3rd down. Kansas State converted on 3rd down very, very well. They had 25 first downs, only surrendered 12 to Iowa State.
And let's not forget Travis Tannehill, too, who had a couple catches in this game, too, as well. So this Kansas State receiving core is starting to come on its own a little bit. We know about Colin Klein. We know about John Hubert. And these receivers are now starting to get into action a little bit now as we're moving towards the middle of the season now with West Virginia ahead and Texas and TCU. So receivers are starting to make big plays when they need them, especially helping out Colin Klein.
Chris Harper has 8 catches in his past 2 days. Another pretty big day here today. 4 catches. It's not necessarily the stats that are making Chris have big days. It's the times that he makes his big catches. He had one where he caught it. It was 3rd down late in the game. spun away and just picked up a first down. So Kansas State did very good today in that aspect. And also in the special teams game, not talking about that Tremaine Thompson fumble. That was the lone, I guess you could say, the scar on that. But Ryan Dorr in the punting game pinned Iowa State inside their 5-yard line twice. Each time it led to good things for Kansas State. He put Iowa State down at the 1-yard line right here behind us. And then right after that, Iowa State went 3 and out, punted the ball back to Kansas State. They scored 30 yards later. And then late in the fourth quarter, Kansas State and Ryan Dorr punted it back to Iowa State. They get it first down at their 3-yard line. And after that, no first down there. So Kansas State does a good job in stuffing Iowa State and Ryan Dorr in the punting game. Let's talk a little bit about that defense, just the job they did to hold Iowa State to just 216 total yards.
That K-State continues to improve week in and week out. Again, holding them to under 300 yards today, total offense. K-State has to get better each week. They know they're going against Geno Smith next week, but to talk about today's performance, they're absolutely brilliant today when their backs were against the wall. When you're competing for a Big 12 championship, your defense is going to have to make plays, and they did that today, especially in the fourth quarter, not once but twice in this game with their backs against the wall, especially down here with Iowa State taking over good field position inside the 40-yard line of K-State. Kansas State stopped them, and then again when Ryan Dorr made a beautiful punt inside the 5. So K-State's defense really held up their end of the bargain this afternoon.
Josh Lindsay accounted for 4 total touchdowns last week in that upset in Fort Worth. Today, not a single catch, 0 catches for Josh Lindsay. And again, it was one of those games where Kansas State has struggled at times, but with the exception of the penalties, really kind of at least felt to be in control of the game.
As we take a look at the stats in this game should have been a little bit more. K-State should have won this game a little bit more as of points. They dominated pretty much in every aspect of the game. It's just killing themselves, especially with these penalties. 9 penalties. They came into this game having 9 penalties the entire season. Coming today, have 9 penalties. Bill Snyder must not be happy with that at all. They have to clean that up for next week if they want a big win against West Virginia.
Let's talk about another game in the Big 12 that went on today. Oklahoma absolutely pounds Texas, and they basically assert themselves right back as Big 12 contenders.
Oklahoma, a couple weeks ago, we keep mentioning this, but everybody thought the nation thought they'll be out of the Big 12 race after the loss to K-State. They're not, and by today's showing, they pounded Texas today. I don't know what the score is. This isn't 63-15 the last time I checked it. So Oklahoma really started to assert themselves in the Big 12 race.
Let's take a look at next week for Kansas State. A very, very, very big trip to Morgantown, West Virginia. This is easily, you could say, the biggest game the Wildcats have played this decade, almost arguably the biggest game they've ever played in what could be a top 5 matchup in Morgantown, West Virginia. But what do you think? What should we expect to see next week between that Geno Smith-led, very, very high-powered offense, currently losing by 14 to Texas Tech? We'll see what happens there. But a very, very high-powered offense in West Virginia led by Geno Smith.
This is going to be an interesting matchup. We kind of joked around about this after the game today. It's against, West Virginia, their high-powered offense, of course, Geno Smith, going against Colin Klein. They like to move the ball, like kind of methodically, take time off the clock like they did today, 6-7-minute drives. It's going to be a critical matchup for both teams in terms of that. West Virginia, can they stop anybody? We'll have to find out next week on defense. We all know about West Virginia's offense.
Will likely be a top 5 game depending on what happens in Lubbock, Texas today. So again, you could say possibly the biggest victory Kansas State could ever have if they get it. It will definitely assert them as the Big 12 favorites, and maybe, just maybe, could keep that small hope at a national championship alive. But nonetheless, Wildcats win it here in Ames, 27-21 over a very tough Iowa State team. And just final thoughts on today's game.
K-State, they did not play their best game today, but a win's a win, and that's most important coming from today. Bill Snyder and company will have to fix some things, especially the penalties. You cannot shoot yourselves in the foot with penalties and the turnovers. You cannot do that on the road, especially going up against West Virginia, who, depending on today's game against Texas Tech, who could win or lose that game. But we'll find that out later on. But K-State's got to clean all this up today. or they're going to be in trouble in next week.
Again, a pretty good, gritty win for Kansas State here in Ames, and you could definitely say it helps them looking forward to next week in Morgantown, West Virginia. So for Eddie Greer, I'm Mike Pereira. That will do it for this 91.9 postgame show. Kansas State wins it 27-21 over Iowa State.